with Judge Mablean will be life, because in everything we do, it involves the law. You came to court to testify about what you heard, what you saw, and what you know.
She's fair.
I don't have a hearing problem. This ear works good. This one works even better.
She's firm.
I'm not responsible for that ticket, and I'm not going to pay for it.
Who says you're not going to pay for it? I make that decision, not you.
She's honest.
What do you have to say?
All I have to
Nothing.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean. Barbara Wilson is suing Larry Simpson in the amount of $7,000. She claims the defendant gave her an estimate on her home and then overcharged her. Mr. Simpson says the work on the plaintiff's home was more extensive than originally thought.
Tell me what happened. What are we talking about?
He came to my home to do a job, to repipe all the pipes in my house. This is what happened. When he first quoted me, he said the job was going to cost $10,000.
All right.
But if I gave him $7,000 cash, that he would do it for $7,000. So I went and took $7,000 out of a credit card, and I gave it to Larry. So he sends this guy, his name is Pedro, so Pedro's working, and then next thing I know, Pedro's calling Larry and telling Larry that now she needs to pay another $3,000 because I'm not going to be able to finish the job.
Oh, sounds like they had a little scheme going, huh? To get $10,000 anyway.
No.
Sounds like a scheme to me, Mr. Simpson. You better hurry up and tell me something.
Your Honor, I'd like to start out by saying that you are way prettier in person than you are on TV. You're just...
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. That'll get you nowhere.
That's right, Your Honor.
But I'm glad to know that you have good judgment and you recognize beauty when you see it.
This is how it happened. I went over to Miss Wilson's house to quote her, and I quoted her at $10,000 to repipe her whole entire house.
How big was the house?
It was 1,500 square feet.
It's about 2,000 square feet, Your Honor.
Well, maybe that's why you got a quote for 7 instead of 10.
Well,
he mismeasured.
He knew.
Okay, so
Well, we generally
2,000 square feet.
We generally do it by the amount of fixtures.
Okay.
And she had 12 fixtures.
All
If
right.
I'm
So you
remembering
quoted her a
correctly.
fee of $7,000 to repipe the entire house.
No, I quoted her at 10.
Oh, 10. Okay.
And I said 10, and she said, well, I can't afford that. Can you go any cheaper? And she batted her eyelashes. I said, well, if you can pay me cash, I can do it for $7,000. That's when she said, well, I don't have $7,000. I said, well, some of my customers like to take out a credit card. That's an option. And she took that. We went in. My main man, Pedro, did the work. He was there for 7 days, I believe, if I'm correct. And he was working for 7 days. I bought all the supplies, everything that goes into the job. And $7,000, Your Honor, is a deal. I wasn't making barely any money.
Your Honor,
and at this
you
point,
should see my house.
Whether you were making any money or not, that was your decision, right?
well, I felt bad for her, you know, and
And so you gave her a deal.
right, exactly. And I gave her a deal, and
But
I
then
don't
all
see.
of a sudden you no longer felt bad for her?
Well, what happened was I went in, and Pedro went in, he was doing the work, and he found out that it was going to be a lot more work. And
What was different?
The piping underneath the kitchen. So the kitchen floor would have completely needed to be taken out. That's where the extra money comes in.
He knew
And-
that when he came in the first time. You looked around, you looked at everything.
Well, I was about to ask, when you went to the house and you knew you had to do plumbing and you were going to repipe the entire house, did you get a schematic of the house? Did you know where the pipes were and how they were laid?
Usually that's what happens, and I'm
Well, what
very
happened
good.
this time?
I'm very good at what I do, and unfortunately, there are situations where I can't be as accurate as I'd like to be in my estimate. And
Excuse me now, Mr. Simpson. You have to give her a quote based upon what has to be done. How do you figure out what has to be done?
I figured out how many fixtures she had. She had 12
And you
fixtures.
counted
You can't
them.
just figure out all fixtures. You're a plumber. You got to know how you get to the fixtures. You have to know whether you have to knock out walls. You have to know if you're going through the attic or if you're going underground. Come on now, I'm not a contractor. I have enough sense to know that.
Generally, it's an easy job. Her house was built in the 60s, I believe.
You knew that too. That's why you need to know when it was and how old it is.
And the plumbing was everywhere. Sometimes there are extenuating circumstances.
And what was the extenuating circumstances? Because the pipe was underneath the floor in the kitchen and you would have had to remove the
I
entire
would have
kitchen
had to
floor?
remove that whole part.
And when did he figure that out?
Pedro figured it out after 7 days of working on the job.
Not true, Your Honor.
Okay, but if, in fact, your contract was to remove and to repipe the entire house, your words, not mine. Entire house means every pipe in the house, right?
Correct.
So before you can quote her a price to repipe every pipe in the house, wouldn't you have to know what the pipes are?
Makes sense to me.
Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
Sounds logical to me. Maybe I just think too logically. Is that logical or illogical?
Yeah, it's perfectly logical.
So why didn't you know that this pipe was underneath the kitchen floor?
Because I don't know who installed the plumbing in her house.
What are you paying? How much do you pay this guy?
That's what
I understand, but let me ask you this. When he gave you the contract, before you signed it,
I did not get a contract.
you didn't get a contract?
Didn't get a contract.
You got nothing in writing?
I trusted the website. The reviews were so positive.
Yeah, because we normally
You
don't
have
have.
a 2,000 square foot house where someone is going to come in and repipe the entire house, and you act on an oral contract for $7,000?
Because he did everything so fast.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a teacher.
Teacher.
I live on a
Meaning
budget.
you read and you write really well.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
I think it was a scheme and a game. You come in and say $10,000, but if you pay me cash, I'll let you have it for $7,000. Then the person that's going to do the work comes in, starts to do the work, and lo and behold, what do you know? I need another $3,000.
Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Barbara Wilson, who is suing Larry Simpson for unsatisfactory repairs.
And why do you give her such a discount if she paid cash versus if she didn't pay in cash?
I just gave that to her as an option, and
Yeah,
in
right.
our business, it's what we do to remain competitive.
That I was not going to pay
It's
any
what you do
interest.
to avoid paying taxes. If you pay me in cash, then I don't have to report that I got $7,000.
I was
That's
trying to help
typical.
her out. I was trying to be a nice guy.
But I had no other choice. I don't
Well,
have.
I'm sorry you have bad credit.
Why are you running my
You have
house?
plenty of choices. You're an intelligent woman.
I
You could
don't
have
have
gotten
that kind of money, Your
several
Honor.
different estimates. But the point is, he said he needed another $3,000. Did you give it to him?
No, at that point, when Pedro called him, my house was a complete disaster. Holes all over in my walls. I was going crazy. So I ended up calling the first guy that I had found online. His name was Eddie. He comes over, he looks at it, and he says, I can finish this for $3,000.
So Eddie told you the same price that Pedro said.
Yes.
So then what is your problem with Mr. Simpson? Is that he quoted you a price of $7,000 versus $10,000?
Because he quoted me that price, and he should stick to it. He did not quote me $10,000.
So you don't want him to pay the $7,000. You want him to pay you the $3,000 difference that you had to pay Eddie.
Well, if you do the math right, I guess.
Well, it's $10,000. It's $10,000.
But I
you
didn't
have to pay an additional.
$10,000.
No, you're not saying that he didn't do the work and didn't do $7,000 worth of work, but he was asking for an additional $3,000. So what your complaint is really is that I had to pay an additional $3,000 over and above what he agreed to charge me. So therefore, I want him to reimburse me for the $3,000.
If I had to take $3,000 off of the $7,000, I would be at $4,000 for a job that I've spent. That's almost my materials cost that much.
Well, based upon what I've heard, that's where you're going to be. If you quoted her $7,000, then $7,000 is your quote. And I think it was a scheme and a game. You come in and say $10,000, but if you pay me cash, I'll let you have it for $7,000. Then the person that's going to do the work comes in, starts to do the work, and lo and behold, what do you know? I need another $3,000. Now you're back up to the $10,000 that you originally quoted. As you say, I had to say that to be competitive. So since you gave her a discounted price to be competitive, you should have stuck to the discounted price to be competitive. So now you will repay her $3,000, and that's the order of the court. What's the adjourned?
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $3,000.
At least I got $3,000 back. So from now on, you need to be more honest with people and really stick to your quotes.
Well, I learned not to deal with nickel and dime cheapskates anymore.
Justice with Judge Mablean.